Hey, before you jump into the pod, I just have to tell you, I bought a new whiz-bang microphone for my live podcast. And it took me ages to pair it. I was super excited. And then I forgot to choose it as an option. What that means is the audio you're listening to is taken from my iPhone. It is not the usual quality that you're used to on the Big Stuff podcast. And I've done my very best to make it as great as humanly possible. So please give me a little bit of grace. I know it's not amazing. However, the conversation was so juicy. I thought that was more important. Don't you think? Enjoy the pod. Today's guest is a double ARIA award-winning musician. She's toured the country, the world even, with John Butler Trio. She's opened for the Backstreet Boys, and her solo work spans everything from jazz to electronica to folk. 4 studio albums, collaborations with Missy Higgins, with Hermitude, with Megan Washington. This guest is a bit of a big deal in the Australian music industry, but that's not how I know Alana Stone. I know Alana as half of the duo who make Tuesday nights the best 90 minutes of my week. She's my choir mistress, which sounds kind of saucy. I love it. It's a choir mistress. And watching Alana and Duncan create space for a room full of ordinary people to make extraordinary music together tells a really magnificent story about what it means to build a creative life. But here's something that people often don't think about around success for creative people. You can win awards, you can tour internationally, work with incredible artists, and still be trying to figure out how to make it sustainable. You can achieve every external marker of success, and then the entire economic system, like how people consume your art, can change pretty much overnight. That has changed how musicians can earn money, but it's also changed the way that music is made, right? So Alana and I discussed exactly how many streams it takes to earn $1,000 on Spotify or even to make a minimum wage. Yet Alana and many, many musicians like her keep showing up. Alana keeps writing songs and she keeps creating. And it's not for fame or for fortune, but because, as Alana puts it, it's what she's here to do. So how do you stay the course as a creative when it's what you're here to do, when it's unreliable and uncertain? And how do you measure success when the traditional markers don't tell the whole story? And what actually sustains you when you are building a life on your terms? Let's get to the podcast. Hi, I'm Danielle, and I'm so glad that you're here because together we're going to work through big stuff. Alana Stone, welcome to the couch. I waited till you had to go. Yeah, right. I am super excited to have you on the Big Girl Couch. I'm really excited about this conversation today, and thanks for agreeing to talk about creativity and success and all of these things, because we talk about it a lot on this podcast, that idea of success, of self-worth through achievement and measuring ourselves. And I mean, essentially, you've had this 20-year career, and in that time, you've won like awards and ARIAs, and you were winning awards really early on. You've worked with amazing people. You've traveled the world. You've done so much stuff. And still, and this isn't a sign of you, you're not a household name. You're not on the radio all the time, which is what people traditionally think on making it as a musician. And I mean, in any creative field, right? As an artist, as a writer, as an actor. I used to act. I was pretty ordinary at it, but I did it for a good number of years. And a sustainable career is where it's at. I don't even know if I'm going anywhere in question here. I've just blah for a really
No,
long time.
you're speaking directly into my heart and soul, so I'm not blah at all.
All right.
Yeah.
So if we look at, on paper, this incredible career that is so highly successful, how does it feel for you to live it day to day, week to week?
I think that feeling varies for me. Like I know on a day-to-day level, if I am creative and if I am having a healthy lifestyle, that I can feel really successful in myself. But like most people who start a career in the arts, it's not what I imagined it was going to be or look like. I think when you're a kid and you start thinking about these types of things, you know, I certainly didn't have any sense of what it looked like other than I'm on stage and I'm singing and I'm maybe dancing and maybe people are clapping or, you know, but that other than that, I couldn't grasp what a career in music looks like. And I certainly didn't have any family members or friends, close friends that were doing that. Which, you know, I think some of that naivety of youth is really essential to starting a career in the arts, because you have to have this kind of almost blind kind of faith in the fact that it's going to be okay. And then every kind of year since then, you have to reignite that faith. And I think of it as like putting coins in a poker machine that you know has a very small chance of paying out. But payout it does, you know, in various ways. Yeah, it's been a wild, my career, while, you know, on paper it looks quite, I guess, like, not uneventful, but like there haven't been any huge peaks and troughs. It's been definitely a roller coaster.
Now,
emotionally.
that is really interesting if that is your perception of your career on paper.
Yeah.
Because to me, I look at your career on paper and I'm like, oh my God, like you have worked with like everyone. You've also had your own band, your own solo career, put out your own music. You've won, on paper, for me, you're a very impressive musician, showman, the whole shebang. Whereas you look at that and like, oh, it's still not. And I think this is where that gap between our perception of our success, like where we want it to be versus where we are, and we see the gap, right? Rather than all the great stuff.
Yeah, I think like in terms of sustainability, which is, you know, part of the conversation, is that I realized, or I am realizing, that the household name part of it is not just to satisfy the ego or to inflate the ego. It's actually part of the sustainability factor, because things like booking agents, festivals, managers, they all trade on that recognizability of the name. So I've worked with amazing artists, and you know, even people as close to me as my sister have kind of rocketed at some point in their careers, like, and my brother have both been, you know, household names at various points. And I've always worked with amazing musicians and artists. But I apart from all our exes, which did experience some level of like commercial success, I've never really been part of a project that took off in any like notable way that felt like, oh wow, this is really moving and happening. And I just know, I guess, for my future plans of making music and sustaining my creativity, and recouping.
But that's it, right? I mean, ultimately, this is your job.
Yes, and that's a major part of what I need to have to move forward, which is kind of that. It's where I am at the moment, which is a very tricky thing, because every year I have to say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who listens to it. It doesn't matter who sees it. It doesn't matter who hears it. I'm going to continue to make music. because I love making music. It's my therapy. I need to do it to survive. And I know a lot of people feel like this. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
But I've put myself in that world of being a professional musician, being a professional artist. So, yeah, I've connected myself to a lot of people that I love and admire who are successful. But I guess I feel like in myself as a lifestyle, I kind of haven't experienced that, but I have had a really sustainable career to date, but that's just meant I have to do everything.
Yeah.
I got to do all the stuff, you know, like, you know, the artwork, the promo, the distribution, like all the things that I'm sure you also do in relation to this podcast. It's, it all has to kind of come from my energy.
Yeah.
So it's a balancing act of like faith and optimism and
as you said before,
financial collapse.
Right. But as you said before, like on the days where, you know, that you're taking care of your health and you're sleeping well and your kids are feeling good and, you know, you've got all of the surrounding parts humming, then you can feel more like, I've got this, right?
Yeah.
But if one of those elements is a little awry, it's really easy to be like, what am I doing? Like, you know, it is a really fine balancing act of it's an inside job, right?
Yeah.
Was that the game plan? Was that the career plan? It's like you left school and that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I went to a performing arts high school, and my game plan formed pretty early, like maybe when I was 8, like when I joined a choir, and I don't.
That's life-changing.
And that's all I really loved. And the choir was always like just an organic driver for me. So everything I've ever done has involved vocal harmonies and very, you know, as the result of that being close relationships with people. Like my 2 best friends in high school, we formed a little vocal trio, and then my band with All Access was obviously like 4 women singing together in close harmony. My band Rescue Ships was close harmony, and that's what I love to do. That's what really ticks my boxes the most is singing with people. So yeah, that's why I find choir like incredibly emotionally sustaining. And I just also, I like doing things in motion. Like I like doing things like making music in the room with people, and that you don't get the opportunity to do that much anymore even as a professional musician. Like to rehearse with Missy Higgins' band, we need like 6 months in advance notice, and then we will all get flown to Melbourne, and there's 2 days which have to be booked in the studio and blah blah blah.
Literally everybody's rehearsing a solo, like by themselves. You arrive with your parts,
arrive
right?
fully formed.
Yeah.
If you don't come already knowing those parts, you're gonna get a serious greasy, if not fired. And that's the reality of music in a commercial setting. And so for me, I crave music in a amateur setting actually, because that's all I've ever known. That's what breeds the most creativity to me. It's the creative freedom to do the thing, right? That gives you that flow. It gives you flow and the collaboration. Like I love collaboration. I've never thought, I want to make music on my own in a room with a computer. That was never the plan. But now that is the way to make music and make it financially viable, is that you don't have to pay or credit other humans. It's just like you own it, you can do what you want with it, and it's your name on the bill. But that's not how I like to work the most.
Let's talk about being a successful musician in the era of streaming. So once upon a time, it was album sales, record sales, CDs, merch, stuff like that. Through record stores, through like tangible stores. Then it became these streaming services where you would buy things online through Apple Music or whatever. And now, here, you won't have everything for nothing. I actually, is it in here? I looked at how many streams you need to make money. Do you know that off the top of your head?
To make money, I think you need at least 5 million.
You need 200,000 to 334,000 streams to earn $1,000. To earn minimum wage of $2,380 a month, which wouldn't even pay somebody's rent. I mean, how that is minimum wage. You need over 1 million streams a month.
Yeah.
As of 24, tracks must reach at least 1,000 streams in the previous 12 months to generate royalties at all. So it's this catch-22, right? It gives you this greater platform where more people can discover your work, but you get nothing for it. How are musicians surviving?
How do we end up here? It's so sad because we were like, the pay-to-play idea was such a great idea, pay per play. So it's like if someone loved your music, they would listen to it more, which is the case. Like people play things over and over and they probably listen to more music because it's so easily available in that interface. It's such a great interface. But the catch-22 is that those relationships that were set up initially were between the tech bros, the Daniel X, and the record labels, who between them brokered like a decent deal, but as a result, the record labels have given those catalogs over, and basically, each stream is like less than a cent for the artist, and then for an artist like me who's independent, I won't see that less than a cent because the way it's distributed is essentially the top 90. Like the top tier, like the Taylor Swifts and the Ed Sheerans, it gets distributed to them first as just a big bulk, like this is 90% of their money. And then after that, it gets distributed to the other artists who are signed to labels, but not appropriately in terms of how many streams they have, just appropriately in terms of how they are tiered in the streaming, like in how popular they are, essentially.
Wow.
So... when I was with All Our Access, I am still with that band, but in terms of like where we were touring a lot and making the most money, because we're not touring anymore, we were getting about $12 a month from streaming, and that was split between 4 people.
Awesome.
And then the record label would also take their 10% or whatever of that. So
you go out for like a lemonade.
That's like a month. That's per month.
Wow.
So it's like $3 a month per person, but then after the costs are taken out. So, I mean, it's I actually can't look at the figures anymore because it's so depressing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, that's just purely an advertising tool. But sadly, like even booking agents and industry people look at that in terms of where success is something, and it's a really important platform for to judge anyone's success. The thing I find tricky about it is there's music that I love that I wouldn't listen to on repeat, and that's gonna get less and less and attention and streams, and the ones that you can put on as a background piece, like that gets more action because it's ignorable, because it just blends into the background and you almost forget that it's on.
Is not ignorable. Yeah, every now and then though, Spotify throws me a playlist that is just for me. Like, hang out now, we've got this for you.
Yeah.
And I feel like he knows me so well. Spotify knows me so well. Hey, buddy.
Do you feel like that has happened in the last kind of... Because I feel like their discovery element has really gone to the dogs in the last kind of 5 or so years. Like, I think that because they've actually got AI artists that they've created, that they're marketing direct to the public, that they're not really feeling what I want anymore. And there are parts of the platform where I would love to see, like, if I skip an artist in my release radar or my discovery weekly, I want to not see that artist again. I don't want to be set Holly Valance's new song with Pouring Hanson in the video clip, because that what my politics are, maybe, or like, sure, the benefits of this, like, understanding your consumer in an AI world is that you're going to target me really well. I still don't feel well targeted. I mean, I did used to feel like, wow, no one knows me better than my Spotify release radar and my discovery. But I don't feel like I've learned about anyone recently that is really blowing my mind.
Yeah. I guess the moral to all of this is like support live music, right?
Yes.
Support live music. I don't even know if people have CD players anymore, so I can do right buying merch, right? So yeah, support live music wherever you can.
Yes. Buy the vinyl, but go to the gig, buy the t-shirt, like things that you might actually wear and use.
Yeah.
Would be great. Or you can go to Bandcamp and buy things there, even if you want to listen to them on Spotify or on, Apple Music or any of the other streaming platforms. Go and buy it on Bandcamp because that money goes directly to the artist.
Yeah. So I only just heard about Bandcamp at the Katie Noonan doing Jeff Buckley Grapes. She talked about Bandcamp. That's the first I've heard of it. I mean, I don't have my finger on the pulse in any way, shape or form, I would say. But, why are we not learning about these other streaming platforms that are kinder to the artists who they are, I was explaining, representing, showcasing?
Yes. Well, it's not a great platform. It's a clunky interface compared to all the other ones, but it is what musicians have at the moment. And I feel like there's something coming that will be better.
Cool. Felt like an insider.
No.
As a wish to the universe.
There's definitely talked about it, but I don't know what it is, and it has to happen. Like, people are ready to move from Spotify. A lot of people are going to Tidal, which is Beyonce and Jay-Z's platform. I think they represent better royalties to the artist, but I haven't moved yet either, Danielle. I'm also a bad person, and I've also let the convenience of Spotify rule my life, and I'm still in the process of making sure that I do that.
Okay, we'll put it on the list. There's lots going on. Your little one just started school. There's lots going on, right?
That's a big one, though. That's a big one.
I think sometimes in creativity there is a belief as well that you find your thing, you do that one thing, you do it really well, right? So you have your music, your solo music, and you just put all of your energy and attention into that. I personally, I think that creativity is like this bubbling well, and somebody who is tapped into their bubbling well can channel it in lots of different ways and find that same sense of pleasure and joy and flow and whatever. You are quite diversified. So I think it's all music though. Like you're quite diversified.
Yeah.
You find the same level of pleasure and joy in all of your different creative outlets, or I mean, obviously choir is your favorite, but is some like necessary for the bills and others give you more pleasure, or is it like, no, it's all music and it's all right? And you don't have to tell us, the red one is surely. Wow.
I mean, yeah, I think there are definitely what I feel like is when I am creative in lots of different ways, or even if I'm paying the bills and doing things like a job, teaching or doing booking agent work, which I did last year. What happens to me is when that time is being used, I feel that bubbling urgency start to really need to express itself, and it means that I will attend to my own creativity in the cracks of the other things. And if I have like a whole day to write or a whole day to sing and play guitar and play piano, I don't know if this happens to you, but I just don't want to do it. I actually feel like rebellious against it. I'm like, maybe I'll just organize a coffee, And so for me, actually, I kind of like working in the cracks and doing the things that are still using those muscles. So recently, I'm coming up to my 10th year with Missy. Mm-hmm. And I said, I kind of called her and said, I need to be more instrumental in your band. Like, I love singing for you. I love playing the percussion. But in my life, I play instruments. And I need to do that in this band for me to feel instrumental. Literally.
Yeah.
It's like I'm flexing those muscles, because I spend a lot of time touring with Missy now, and that's like 5 months of this year. I just every single weekend is with Missy on this Red Hot Summer tour. It's a huge
There's a
tour.
lot of traveling for you.
Yes. I love the traveling and I love the gigs, but I need to feel like I'm flexing my muscles musically and being challenged. And luckily, you know, that was a well received suggestion. I feel like it could have gone either way. It could have been. There's already two keyboard players in the band, so there's not heaps of room.
Anyone play the accordion like you? No, that's what I brought in. I didn't think I could love her anymore. And then you started playing the piano accordion, and I was like, she's so cool.
That's what everyone thinks. So someone full about the piano accordion.
And they're not teenagers. I imagine if you started it as a teenager, everyone would be like, what's that?
That's the beauty of getting older, isn't it? Just like embracing the dog, going up, accordion's cool. Library's the best. I think that's what I suggested is accordion and a little bit a guitar, and you know I play a bit of keys now, and it's just like I have to work my creativity into those situations that I'm in for bill paying reasons and for like sustainability reasons and for creative reasons. So for me, it has to work. I have to feel creatively satisfied, and I'm also aware that I have to pay bills.
Has it been a process for you to be able to, like, because to ask that, have my needs met, right, can be really confronting for people? Has that been a process for you to be able to speak your needs, or like were you nervous, or is that something that you just feel like, no, I'm in my my empowered era and I can ask for what I want?
So I got this hat the other day, and I decided it says DIY era on it. I actually picked it up from the property at the swimming pool.
If anybody from the swimming pool is in your house, the do-it-yourself era.
I just felt like this hat kind of maybe is the title of this year for me, and it's more about sitting down and having the difficult conversations, which means that you are not unhappy and not frustrated in all the ways, you know, whatever that may be. Because I think becoming an adult is about having the difficult conversation before it gets too hard. And it did, like, I let it fester, that conversation, which seems like a really small thing, like going to your boss and saying, look, I just need to be more useful to you, actually. How can I be more useful? That doesn't sound that hard, but I think my fear is that person will say, actually, you're not useful.
Yeah.
And of course. And these are hard economic times, and I'm going to have to let you go. And I think the chance of that happening is sometimes like 50-50. So you got to go like, is it like, what
do I shut up and put up and just like, be grateful, or do I,
and
I know myself. That's really what it is.
Yeah, and I know it's my job to actually eke out the creative, what's the word? The satisfaction that I need creatively. It's my job to satisfy that, like in my own time with my own projects. But in this particular situation, I just feel like I'm spending heaps of, like, a lot of my time doing that. And so if I can make that situation more creative and more enjoyable, then I should.
It really is your responsibility to find how you can either turn that into something that is more not just sustainable but enjoyable, right? Pleasurable. Otherwise, what are we doing? We're just marking time, making money. Money is great, of course, but if you're not satisfied and you're not happy, what's the point? You spend so much time doing it, and time is finite. Like that's the thing. I've written 2 books now about how finite time is. One is a non-fiction, another one is a fiction. Because my mum's death, even though everyone knew she was dying, right? Yeah. And we even had the countdown because she was granted voluntary assisted death. Still, people were like, I thought we had more time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We actually don't have time to not speak our desires. Or it's okay if we don't get them.
Yes.
But to at least voice them and give other people, the universe, whatever, the opportunity to rise to meet us.
Yeah.
You know, to hold us, to give it to us.
Do you think your mum's death empowered you in an urge to take risks with your own life and your own creativity, and or to like go towards your true?
I have never really had a problem with that.
taking risks?
No, that's actually kind of my MO. Like,
Yeah, cool.
I will, what my mum said has done more than anything is like there's an ego death. So before I wanted to do certain things for like how it looked or like to show people or to look like I'm successful or to, you know, have X amount of blah, right? And now I'm like, none of that matters. None of that even matters. I'm still working out what does matter. But it's been a really big shift for me because I was like all these things that I was like rehearsing towards and feeling like that's when I'll feel like I'm successful or that's when I'll feel like I've made it or, you know, the pinnacle of whatever. And it's all based on what I see other people doing. Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, when I'm that, then I will be X. Right? Whereas now I'm like, if we strip all of that ego shit away, all of that stuff, what is really important? And that's what my mom's death has made me think of. And it is creating a new era for me. Certainly at this point. I mean, maybe the ego will come back with a vengeance and be like, look at me. Everybody. I'm a thing of glory.
And you know, it's so interesting because like I do feel like parenting is that as well. Like when you become a parent, that feels like a slow but like big ego death, like a demise of your sense of identity. And yeah, and it's hard. It's really hard because, you know, in your 20s, I mean, for me, 30s, that really sustained me. That really like was a big motivator. Like I have grit and determination, and I know you do too. And now I'm trying to let some of that go and just to facilitate the needs of everyone around me. And I know that those things, you know, are necessary. And I just, yeah, but there's this struggle. There's a struggle with that and with like, because I feel like I have to let go of some of my dreams in order to make that happen. But what are my dreams? Like if you follow them to their logical conclusion, is that what's going to make you happy? I don't know. I've had times where I've been the focus of things and I've been very uncomfortable with it. Like, I quite like being a side person or a member of a group, a team. I'm a real team player. Like, I love being part of a gang of people that are making something together. And the times when I've, like, just been on my own in the spotlight, I've been very uncomfortable and not enjoyed it as much as I thought I might. But there's a lot about this world and those ideas of success that tell you that that's what you need to be doing in order to be, successful and validated in the industry that you're in.
Right? I think, you know, when we look at, you know, this idea of having the success as like the final destination, that's when we kind of really lose sight of all of the good shit along the way, you know, all of the, because the process is actually where, I mean, I know they say, you know, it's like, it's the journey, not the destination, but ultimately, like, if you get to this thing and, like, then what? You know, so it is always going to be, how do I make all of this on the way to wherever feel pleasurable, sustainable, manageable, you know, like when it is really busy and you've got young kids and you're trying to appease your bubbling well of creativity and juggle, you know, all of the needs of the family. You know, let's face it, sometimes everything that you want goes by the wayside for a number of weeks and you're like, where did that go? What happened to me? That's why the traveling is really nice, because you go away and it's just you. You and the creativity.
Yes, and that's when I kind of get my energy again, and try and do as much as I can when I'm in that space. But yeah, I mean, success itself is ephemeral, and the people that I always compared myself to, they're kind of at a point now, but just because of sheer like age and where we're at in the music economy, they're all kind of having to do the same gigs that I've been doing already. So it's kind of like that, you know, we all end up in the same place at the end of the day and we're all servicing the same need, which is this love of music and wanting to contribute to this thing that we all are just like awe-inspired by. We want to be part of the magic. So I think, unfortunately, you know, life puts these judgments on people and these statuses on people, and they're very hard to reckon with. But we're all just in love with music, like all of us, not just musicians. Like, you know, people just want to be part of that world and that community, and for obvious reasons, and when you commercialize it, when you put capitalism with it and with art itself, it becomes really tricky. Like, it just
Like commodifying magic.
it's like commodifying magic.
Yeah.
So when things happen like your mum's living wake, with things like that, where you can be of service to the community and you can have a choir sing with you and say goodbye, or you can have a wedding, or a child is born and there's a musical moment. I think, like, I'm coming around to this feeling that those are the most important acts, like those community acts where you're actually of service to something rather than trying to get something from the community. But if we could have a living wage for artists, then there could be more of that.
Be sure.
You know, a universal wage. That would be helpful.
That would be. I recently saw an article in The Guardian about, it wasn't a choir, it was like 3 singers going to people's like deathbeds and singing to them in like their final days. And the amazing healing power of music and these people who are in pain sort of relaxing or crying or connecting or opening their eyes when they feel unconscious, like all of these things. And I'm like, that's amazing. These people are volunteers, they volunteer their time. Like that should be a paid service. We know that listening to beautiful music can ease pain, emotional and physical pain.
Yeah.
And
people get their memories back from hearing songs. They can run. Like, I've just read this book that's by an author from around here, but he talks about running and being obsessed with marathon running, and then saving a playlist for the last kind of 2 hours to get him across the line.
It's like, tiger, all the way down.
It's like they're so emotional. They're so motivating. There's so many things about music I don't know why they happen. We don't understand it, but they're like really important for community building. And so I think the choir has been this surprise project for me, because it wasn't my idea even. It was actually Luke's idea, who was my original Duncan.
Yeah.
And he was just like in this rapture of music making at the time, and he was like, let's start a choir. And I was like, oh, that sounds really dorky. And I've always been in choirs and done choral stuff, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I can add to that or do that, especially like a community choir. And then we did it.
What a community choir is, for anyone who doesn't know, is you don't have to have talent. You just have to be enthusiastic, and anyone can join. And that is the best thing about it, I think. Because I wouldn't get to do it otherwise. But
it's just like a world of lovely dorks, like the best humans that you could possibly muster from a community.
Welcoming, warm, forgiving when you go completely rogue and get it all wrong.
And like, imagine doing an audition process for that. Like, I think it would ruin everything. So when Luke and I started, there was just this huge response to us starting this choir, which I don't know if it was at that time, I think it was one of the first choirs in the area. Now there's like 4 or 6, or I don't know how many. But so there was a huge response, and it was really, and you could feel that it was tapping into something that was like urgently needed in the community, or at least like very welcomed.
What is it? What do you think it is? So it's singing in community, which, but what is it, do you think?
I think it's just oxytocin. I think it's just getting together and being vulnerable with strangers. It's like, I think it's restoring your faith in humanity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Absolutely. Like, so I think oxytocin is definitely a part of it.
Yeah.
I think there is something about... So I find flow because my brain is a very, very busy brain. All the listeners know that I have ADHD, which is now medicated and helps my emotional regulation. But still, my day-to-day is just so busy. Being able to go somewhere for a pocket of time where I have to focus on what's going on, because harmonies don't come naturally to me. So, like, once you told me my part, I'm like, okay, I've got to stay in my lane. And the concentration that it takes to do that. I think there's also something so magic about those moments where, and I know that you feel this because I see you feel it sometimes, when all the parts come in, everybody knows their parts, everyone knows their parts, and suddenly there is this harmony in a room between these people. And for one moment, we are all connected in this beautiful sound that brings goosebumps. I don't know if you do that, but it brings goosebumps. And you're like, it's almost like this, it's resonance. It's like heart resonance, soul resonance. Even if it's just for a second in between the chatting and the laughing and whatever, everybody suddenly has this thing. And I think that there is so much discordance in our worlds all the time. That having moments of resonance like that is like what we should seek more of it. I think you find it in nature. And then we find it in our library on a Tuesday night, and
Yes, 100%. Like that's it. That's the flow state. And I think like the immediacy of choir is that you have to create something within that hour. It's a defined amount of time, which I like too for my brain. And in that time,
probably spicy also.
I think
slightly.
so. I've been trying to tell my psychologist partner, I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's ADHD. Why would I just diagnose? And he's like, it's a longer process. He's like, even if you do get diagnosed, what are you going to do about it? You don't know what to do. I think like that very defined parameter of a creative hour and a half or whatever it is feels really satisfying, and the focus required to get everyone on the same page. I think like it's been really interesting. Our choir is quite female dominated, and then recently we've had, a couple of guys, really one person join, and he's got a different sort of angle on like how to interact and how things will work. And it's kind of like, I said to Duncan, I was like, this is trickier. And he's like, this is diversity, babe. Diversity's hard. And I'm like, this is it. We have to, like, to be inclusive and to create a community thing with all the spiciness and all the different agendas and all the different needs of the group means that we have to accommodate everybody and be open and be welcoming. And that's what I want.
And also still hold a boundary. I think that you do it really beautifully. Like at any time, because lots of people will throw in suggestions of what we want to do next season, or there's all sorts of stuff. And I think that you are beautifully warm and inclusive, and then you hold a really gentle, that certain boundary. Which is great. You said something a moment ago. In fact, you said two things I'm going to connect now. You said on the days where you've got all the time in the world to create, you find it really difficult. And then you said having that, the limitation's great. The way that I have written my fiction, so it's my first fiction ever, which is a totally different beast, thank you very much, is I'm nearly finished the first draft, and then it needs so much work. Like, I know now what it needs, which is great, right? It's the process. The skeleton is pretty much there. But I've heard Elizabeth Gilbert talking about the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and There's Many Things.
Okay.
That's not my favourite book of hers. Okay. Signature of All Things, for anyone listening. It's in my top 10 of all time. But she also wrote Big Magic, which is a book about creativity. And she says before you have a project that you are like so in that the flow comes easily, just commit to an hour a day. And so I have done that. So she basically says, you say to the universe, I'm here, I'll be your muse. I'm here, I will sit down for an hour a day. What happens is not my responsibility. Right? I will be at my desk, right? So when the universe speaks, I will be at my desk for 1 hour a day and just do the hour, right? And that's all. That's your responsibility. That's it. That's the agreement. And also finish a sentence for me, maybe a musical phrase, whatever, how I finish it. So when you come back, you've got something to hook straight into. It's almost like you get straight into the stream and keep going, right?
Yeah.
So I have found every day, and sometimes I'll be like an hour and a half, 2 hours, but then I've got to stop now. Like I'm doing overtime, and that's not the agreement.
Yeah.
And just doing that, like really solid, disciplined practice has kept the juices flowing in a different way to being like, right, I'm going to sit here for 4 days and just bang this out. Which I know some people's process. Like some people are good at that. It's been a really interesting thing for me. And now that I have the skeleton there, or if you had the bones of the song and you're ready to just like really flesh it out, that's when you can sit there for as long as you want, because that's when you get in the flow state.
Yeah.
Which I thought is a very interesting way to approach creativity, which so many people often will be like, I've got a block. I don't know what to do. I get too like caught up in how to be creative. What are your tips on like hooking into your creativity if you feel a bit stuck?
I think literally just what you just said is really it. It's like, creating parameters. I belong to a songwriting group that's online. It's called iHeart Songwriting. Every week I have to deliver a song, like in demo format, so not a fully produced thing, but
That's an excellent practice.
yeah, it's just, and there's people online that I don't know who give me feedback and I give them feedback. I am sketchy in terms of my attendance, but I find that having to show up, whatever that word is, for this group really helps me. And I also, just the limitations that songwriting group provides, like they give a suggestion, like a jumping off word. You don't have to use it. And you're really limited to an hour every week to write that music. I try and, as I'm getting older, just be imperfect with it. Just let it just be the hour. I used to maybe spend like a day or like 2 days making it full.
It's the best.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah.
Entry, but now I'm like, no, it's okay. Just let it be what it is. And I just think that's it, because if it's just for me, and I'm just doing it for my therapy, then the job is done. Like it's done when I've written the song. That's probably the best I'm going to feel. Apart from playing it with people I love, that moment is going to be the best that I'll feel. So, I gave myself half an hour yesterday, and I wrote a full song in that half hour, and then I cut my knee and went off to the hospital. And I was like, well, at least I got that done. That's like, I went for a swim and I wrote a song, and then I can just spend the rest of the day in hospital. And that's fine. I feel like that is, I'm not like spiritual, I'm not particularly spiritual, I'm not religious, but I do feel like these are things that I am here for, or that I'm at least good at, is songs and people. So that's what I have to do.
Amazing. So many people still don't know, like they don't know what their thing is. They don't know what their bliss is. They don't know what their purpose is. And the idea of purpose, I think, can be so enormous that it can be really suffocating. So I think just to feel like that's what I'm here to do. Yeah. And so I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I keep coming back to that. It's a form of grit, I think. And I don't know if it's serving me or not, but I just know that that's what I'm going to do. So I just have to allow for that.
Allow and trust. It comes back to allowing and trusting.
Yeah. And like, and I was just going back to your question about like creativity and how to sit down, and lately I'm sure a lot of people do this, but just like setting a timer for 15 minutes to get lyrics. I'll just write without any judgment, which is such a huge part of creativity, and that goes for your internal judgment. With no objective in mind. It's just like whatever comes out in that 15 minutes, it's whatever comes out. And then I'll kind of go back and look at if there's something in there that's kind of jumping out as a very true and very authentic or beautiful statement. And then I'll kind of work with that as my songwriting adventure. But all that boundaries for me. hugely, and I reckon I do have ADHD.
Well, I wasn't going to say it. They do say that deadlines and stuff like that are the best way for ADHD brains to really like knuckle down and focus.
Yeah.
I certainly found that when I was a journalist and I had deadlines, like I'd let all the things sort of bank up, and I tried to like stay on top of things. That if you gave me a deadline, I'd be like banging this out and be like, yeah, done. Off you go to the editor. And yeah, I found that I guess urgency wasn't great for my nervous system, right? But it was great for my productivity.
Yes.
So if we can have the boundaries without urgency, but you don't. It's not like you've got massive deadlines. They're self-imposed. Which is great.
Yeah. Can I ask a question about your so now you've got medication for ADHD. How has that affected your creativity? Has it helped?
So I was worried that it was going to stifle my magic. I really was. I think one of my superpowers is being able to join dots really quickly, particularly in my coaching with clients, joining ideas together really quickly. I can see things much faster, patterns in behaviours and language and stuff like that. I thought it would stifle that or dull it. It hasn't. What it has done for me is, if you imagine that my brain was tuning in on like 8 radio stations all at once, and I'm listening to like Nova and Wave and like see like all at once, and I had quite good command of all of the things, but it just made it really chaotic for me. Whereas now I can, I'm just going to tune into this radio station, and maybe it's like 2 radio stations, maybe 3. But then it's no longer 8. So what it has done is for my emotional regulation. So my nervous system used to be like, oh, there's so much going on in my head, right? And I have to focus on all of these things all at once, which makes my nervous system really freaked out. Like my mom used to say, like, Danielle, Collie, you're so neurotic. Or I'd be like, I've got so much anxiety. Like, why do I have, like, my life is okay? It just constantly felt like I was on fire. My heart was on fire. Whereas now I have greater emotional regulation because I can like pause some of the channels and focus on exactly like which ones are important at the moment, and they can all still be sort of in the background. I know that I've got all these things, but what do I want to turn the volume up on now, and I'll turn it down again when I'm ready. So for my creativity, I think Evan has actually been like wonderful, because instead of starting something and then like putting washing on, getting a snack or two, like now I can be like, oh, I'm locked in. And I'm super focused on this thing, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, the time has passed so quickly, and I've just like been really I don't want to say productive, immersed. I've been so immersed in this thing that I'm doing. That is my painting, it can be my writing, it can be gardening, it can be like anything where I'm like just like in it with my hands.
Have there been any side effects or anything that you don't like about the meds?
I think for me, because the perimenopause hormones were going awry, that can be a particularly spicy time for ADHD brains. The entire foundation shifts, and what the masking or the techniques or the things I used before don't work so much any longer. And that all my wheels were falling off.
And you've got electric handles as well. It doesn't help.
So I was very, very hesitant to go on medication, and I talked to my husband about it, and he said to me, you've been self-medicating your whole life. Why don't you try the drugs that are actually meant for this? He was like, and since then I quit drinking completely, or warring less completely. Every now and then I might have one, but it's very rare. I really don't desire it. I don't snack like I used to. I used to constantly be thinking about where's my next dopamine hit coming from. And so now my dopamine is coming literally from my creativity. I get such a zing out of producing something that I like, making up notes that I like, or I often see creativity as a puzzle that I need to solve. So I used to be very judgmental of my art, and very judgmental of what I was creating, because I wanted to be excellent immediately. I wanted to be the best. So being able to take that away and be like, okay, it's not quite where I want it to be. Like, what is this puzzle? Like, what are the pieces that need to be shuffled around or polished or whatever to get us to where I want it to be?
Yeah, that's so true. And I think, like, yeah, everything you're saying is really speaking to me about deadlines, about, like, the finiteness of a creative project and how, like, they're all puzzles. And that's what kind of makes it really fun, because you're like, I just have to finish this puzzle.
Yeah.
You know, and then I can get on with my day.
And sometimes that's all you can think about, though, is the puzzle. Like,
Totally.
the puzzle purely. Like, how am I going to get what is it? What do I need? And then you get it, you're like, I did it.
Yeah.
I did the puzzle. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, like, that's okay. Like, I feel like that's just a part of what I need in my day, like a medication or like a crossword or something. But anyway, this is a whole tangent.
Yeah. What are you working on at the moment? Like, what are we going to be seeing from you in the immediate future? I mean, you're about to go on tour
Yes.
for 5 months?
Yes, I'm on tour with Missy. I'm at the start of another writing period, which I have been for about 3 months. So I've got about 17 new songs, and I want to get that up to about 30 before I start to kind of cull it down. And the stuff that I'm listening to and feeling at the moment is very much like sort of big CC vocal harmonies, everybody in a room together, you know, very minimal tracking or producing, just like very raw folk music, for want of a better word. And yeah, I just want to get to a point where I can get in the studio with my friends and make that, what's it called, written. I want to teach myself to put it together in a demo format. So I really want to work on my producing skills and my kind of like skills in those the software of production. But yeah, that's really it. I'm trying to release a whole bunch of music that I worked on in the past with like today I've been talking to an ex-partner about releasing this music that we never got to release because we spent 5 years making it and then broke up, and then, you know, unfortunately
What do you do with the embryos?
right. I mean, it's fully formed. It fully sounds. It's a
Babies.
fully
What do you do with the babies?
formed album.
Wow.
And it just never got released, and I want that to be in the world so that my kids can listen to it. And unfortunately, he's just really doesn't want to release it, and so it's just become this like sad burden. But I think I just have to kind of let those things go and just go, okay, let's make something else.
All right, here you go. Final question. When you're 80 and you're looking back at your creative life, what do you hope you will feel, and what will matter to you more than any award or any recognition?
I love artists that are, what's the word, when you make heaps of stuff?
Prolific? Okay.
That's another word. I love artists that are prolific, and I love artists that have lots of different offerings. I also love people who have had varied and interesting lives. And I think, like, I've had a very focused life on music, and I just want to feel like I've had adventures. I want the adventures to continue, because I think that's why I got into music in the first place, was for the adventures, and I was never quite sure where they would take me. And it has, like, music has taken me physically to all these different places that I never expected to go. And I kind of want it to continue to do that. I don't know. If it doesn't, I'm not sure what I'll do, you know? Like, that's always the kind of tricky part for me. But I want to keep having adventures. So whatever will allow that to happen. And I know creativity will be part of that. But yeah.
You know, with that level of trust that you have in your music career, you have a level of trust in your whole life. Like, it will keep being, the song will continue to be written whether you control it or not.
Yes.
So that trust in that flow, having faith in where it's leading you.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the ego death too, of like getting older. I know it's going to be painful and horrible, but I'm hoping it comes with with wisdom and just a lack of care. Like, as I get older, I feel like I'm allowing the door in me to be very bigger. And I like her, and I think she's important. Important for me to let her out.
So we all release our inner dogs. I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah.
May we allow our inner dogs to have free reign.
Yes, bring the input into choir practice.
You're awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a great chat.
Thank you. Thanks for making me cry.
Isn't she gorgeous? I just loved that conversation. And as she said, 20 years into her music career, she's still putting coins in the pokey machine. She still has faith and trust in what she knows is her purpose. And honestly, I think that might be the most successful thing that I've heard. And we keep hearing these themes time and time again here on Big Stuff. So some thinking points for you then this week is, whose version of success are you following? And what would change if the measure of success was for you to do something that actually sustains you, something that feels really great for you? And then perhaps what is your hour a day, your 1 hour a day, whether it is, something creative, whether it is writing or music or painting or some kind of hobby. If you had that practice for an hour a day, you committed to that with no judgment about the outcome, what might happen when you show up consistently for yourself and for that thing, even if inspiration isn't there. It is a difficult practice and a discipline, but absolutely worthwhile. You can find Alana Stone's music on all streaming platforms, but after this conversation, maybe you should go over to Bandcamp or pop onto her website and see if there is some way that you can support her through merchandise. Her latest album is called Married to the Sound, and she is currently on tour with Missy Higgins. If you want to experience what we talked about today, that flow state, that resonance, that moment when the harmonies come together and your hairs stand on end and you remember what it's like to be a human in community with other humans, I highly recommend you find a choir near you. I promise that might just be the best 90 minutes of your week. There are links to everything we discussed in the show notes and how to find Alana. And if this conversation landed for you, pass it on to someone else who is trying to figure out whose definition of success will bring them a true sense of satisfaction and joy. I'll see you next time. I hope that you enjoyed listening to this episode of Big Stuff as much as I enjoyed recording it for you. Now, if you did enjoy this episode, it would really help me if you wanted to share it with just one person that you think is going to get something out of it. And also feel free to drop a comment. All of these things really help podcasts to gain more ears, and that's what we're really here for. Also, be sure to subscribe, then you will never miss an episode. If you want to find out more about me, who I am, what I do, then you can go and check me out at daniellecolley.com.au. I'll see you next episode for more Big Stuff.